One.
Good afternoon. This is Marcus Brown again with ChessFrog OmniVersity with a very special episode. Not just to make up for the missing last week, we have a very special guest. He's going to read a quote for us, and then I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Confidence. If you haven't confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started.
Powerful words from one of our city's powerful young men. Sir, would you introduce yourself?
Oh man, peace and blessings, good brother. So name is DeWaun Robinson, DeWaun E. Robinson. Just a Flint representative. Glad to be here.
We are glad to have you here. Mr. Robinson, can you tell us, before you get into your history in Flint, can you tell us what titles you hold here in Flint right now and where people have seen you before, most likely?
Yeah, so people may have seen me from either starting with young people and doing arts and culture events downtown, just kind of engaging, kind of like some mixers with Artistic Vision Enterprise, AVE. We've done a number of different programs in the community, events and programs such as the Rites of Passage, where we work with young people in the schools,
Okay.
teach them about leadership, cultural awareness, loving thyself. It's an offset of like a freedom school, right, if you will.
Okay.
Taking young boys to Africa, right, so they can go and find themselves and understand what they mean and the significance impact that we have made in history. Of course, man, you might have seen me, walking down, um, engaging in protests, right, with Black Lives Matter. I definitely represent for that always, every day. Served as the president, served as a Flint Housing Commissioner here in the city of Flint.
Okay.
So definitely, I guess, been around for a little while. Man.
So you've been supporting a lot of different programs here. You
Yes,
even
sir.
help support some of our young people that might be held over for court and
That's
making
right.
sure that they get treated correctly and making
Mm-hmm.
sure they get their rights.
That's right.
I believe that you also help with getting court cases annulled sometimes, or
Yeah.
pass
So
on information with that.
some of the things that we do is our restorative justice, and a lot of times, our brothers, ancestors be kind of held up in the court process with the judicial system, and our role has always been, everybody don't go to prison, right? One thing that we need to do is look at corrective action. There may be an incident of 5 minutes that, put you in a situation, man, that'll give you life. And so one of the things that we do is, work alongside with them so that way they don't go to prison. They come engage in our program. They do a lot of community impact work, and they do not go to prison. So that is very constructive work, if you will, man. Understanding those lanes, understand those situations take place, understand and being in those situations. You want to be able to give folks a second, third, fourth, and maybe a fifth chance, right? Because you never know the beauty in what people have to offer when they value themselves.
I remember when I was younger being involved with a program that set young men up with mentors.
Mm-hmm.
They got college age young men to help out with the men that are with our men that are still in school,
That's right.
and they were supervised by even an older person who helped mentor the college age kids.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these programs were directly supported by some of the judges
Mm-hmm.
in town that said, "This is a first time offender. Why am I sending him to jail when there should be some type of program that can change his trajectory
Mm-hmm.
and change his outlook on the world?"
Yes, sir.
Are there any judges or any programs similar to that right now in Flint, or any judges that you think might be friendly to something like that?
So I know Judge Marabou is a supportive of our work in those programs, and we need to go ahead and really hold accountability in the court system even further. All judges down there in the down there at the circuit court,
Mm-hmm.
they should be really supportive of what other alternative pathways do we have for residents in our community. A lot of times you have to look at people engaged in crime because it's a lack of. So if a
Right.
man want to eat, he gonna get out there and make it work, for them to eat, right? There's not a lot of opportunities that's offered here in the city of Flint. So with that being said, the thing when we talk about court systems and just getting people rammed up on chumped up charges and trying to send them away for prison, that is over with, right? We have to go ahead and start looking at ways that we can go ahead and help folks, right? And you put them in a position where they don't have to commit crime. You won't have to worry about overcrowding jails. You won't have to worry about prison stints. You don't have to worry about returning citizens, because ideally we want to be a foundational support to help them to be successful in life.
Okay. Some people would say, and there's an argument being made right now, I'm not talking about defunding the police, but what I am talking about is there needs to be a restructuring of 911 because some calls do not require someone with a gun to show up.
That's right.
Or do not require certain things to be, don't even require a request. Sometimes a call might need a counselor or someone with a medical background or someone with an understanding of how to deal with the mentally ill. There are a number of people in our community that are mentally ill who get first serviced by a militaristic police approach,
right,
as opposed to someone trying to talk them down,
right,
or trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. It's just knee jerk. Let's beat them up and arrest them.
Yeah, you already know, man. A lot of times, man, these police, they're not trained to address someone with mental illness. They're not trained to address students who may have a bad day,
or being able to recognize certain,
or recognize, like, hey, how can we assist this person, man? When you treat everybody like criminals, every time that you call, right, and you think that you got to come on scene gun ho, ready to do something, and you put that perspective out there for the public to see and view. Yes, everybody, we don't need to call the police for everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather not call them at all. And when we're talking about defund, yeah, we need to reallocate those dollars towards more of, social measures, more, mental health services, more of systemic programs, right, that get to the root of the cause, because police can't do it. That's not what they're here to serve, right? If you understand the training of how police are looking at, urban communities and those people that live in there, it's all hard contact.
Generally, most of them live outside the community.
They don't know nothing about it, but what they see on TV or what they hear from their friends, or the way that they being taught how to go ahead and handle people, right? It's the thing about this, right? Black people are always looked at as, hard contact, right? They make those type of aggressions, right, to black people. But then when you see like a white, or Asian, or anybody else, man, there's always soft contact. They handle them with kitten gloves, right?
Even when they're carrying guns.
And they carry guns, shoot at them, right? Try to fight them and all that. And, they sitting up there coming at them all week. But they want to shoot, young black brothers down, right? They want to put their hands on black women, right? Just a bunch of nonsense, man. So, we don't stand for that. And that's a lot of times, that's why we had to get out there and step up, protest, protect our people, be on the front line, make sure we hold accountability. When you see them out there pulling over folks in the street, like we pull up, right? And we let them know, yeah,
we should have our that cameras type of time. Out, and we should be watching for our brothers, even if we don't know the guy.
Even beyond watching and having cameras out, man, we intervening. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, watching somebody get choked to death, watch somebody get shot.
You don't have to produce your ID.
Somebody just getting manhandled, and you stand there with a camera in your hand just looking, all right, just filming, and it's nothing inside of you that possesses you to go ahead and step up. And that's I call that a disservice for black people.
I would rather have somebody at the very least pull out a camera, as opposed to just keep ain't none of my business. I ain't gonna watch. I want a witness there of some sort, so that something can happen. I'm not expecting everybody to be Superman and say, "Hey, grab the cops and throw them out of the way."
Man, it's enough of us, man. Listen, we outnumber them. Like,
right?
Man, we got to get off that old, we got to get off of that slavery plantation mindset. Like, we can't do nothing about it. Like, it's a law in the books, man. If, police is utilizing excessive force on them, then you can take them out. So we can't be sitting up there, be scared about, engaging with the police or running up on the police and, just to save our brother or sister.
Just to be clear, you are not obstructing justice by using your voice. If you yell at a cop or you advise somebody of what their rights are, you ain't got to let them search your car. You ain't got to let them do this.
You ain't got none of that.
You can use your voice, and it's not obstruction. A cop will tell you that you are obstructing their investigation. Words are not obstruction. Yeah. Words are freedom of First Amendment, freedom of speech, because some cops don't like it when people get involved, and they'll try and say, well, we're going to arrest you next and make a threat towards the witnesses.
All them is threats. And we dealing with just threats. You ain't gotta be scared about that. You ain't gotta be scared to go to jail. You got to be scared to engage or go through a fictitious court system. Man, we ain't even looking at it like that. Like, man, listen, man, what we talking about, man? We human beings, like we live and breathe out here, right? And if you do wrong to us, then you know what I'm saying, we're gonna address it. And that's how everybody. Just think about it. If we all looked at it like that.
Well, let us digress a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You are DeWaun Robinson. Where are you from? And what are your beginnings?
So I'm born and raised here in Flint. I'm a product of this city, right? Southside to be exact. Definitely, come up from a hellish condition. And so
what school did you go to?
So I attended Scott as elementary. Went to Whittier for middle school. Attended Flint Central High, Big Red for sure. But then also had to do some time at schools of choice. Okay. So I've grown up here all my life with the exception of 10 years when I lived in Detroit and was down there engaged in music. I was doing a lot of movies, just a lot of arts and culture, entertainment type activity.
I've seen some of your performance. This man is the truth.
No, man.
His name is DeWaun. Some people call him the Funk.
Yeah, come on now. You know what I'm saying?
So if you get a chance to check out some of DeWaun's videos,
yes, sir.
He's on the one. DeWaun is on the one.
Okay, all right.
But so you grew up here in Flint. When you were younger, what was the hangouts? What was the thing to do?
Well, we hung out a lot in the old neighborhood, of course, L Block on the Pier Road, Stewart neighborhood, from the Howard blocks. We grew up fast. I think it was a thing where we was young and wild, right?
Were you a mall kid, a movie kid? Where'd you take a woman out on a date?
Probably sit in the car and just hang out, man, and listen to some music, right?
I guess in my younger do that in Belle Isle, right? Detroit. But where do they go to hang out and do the racing and do stuff back in your day?
Yeah, we used to be coming down Robert T racing cars. We was young, had old school cars, so we'd be coming down racing. Spent a lot of time over there, at the clubs on Door Highway when it was JB's and all them other spaces, man. We used to frequent out there. We had a lot of activity, a lot of places. We'd pull up at a park. We'd be at the Brennan Park. We'd be at Cook Park, just just kind of, just vibing and just kind of building, right? Wherever we were, man, the whole environment.
What was the best thing about Flint back then, or what differs today from back then, or what do you miss from back then?
I just miss the opportunity. I miss the collectiveness. I grew up in a neighborhood where, everybody was your mama and your father, and every grandma, we took care of. Even though we might have been out there acting up, we were very much respectful of our elders, right? We can eat at anybody's house on a neighborhood block. I just miss that sense of unity.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Flint today, what do you see, or what are your hopes and goals for the future of Flint?
Oh, man, I just hope to see a vision for the future. I really want to see, something, happening for, these generations coming up after us. Like, I want to see us, I want to see a vibrant, robust community, right, that we all living in, right? We come back to, and we all had a hand in bringing back. I want to see North Saginaw with thousands of shops up and down, right? I want to see Martin Luther King Street redeveloped, right, reimagined with thousands of people walking down, shopping and patronizing Black business. I want to see a renaissance here, that, we all can benefit from. I want to see elected leadership downtown, in a place, in the space where they're looking at, doing for constituents, right? Not lining their own selves up, but they are making a difference for this community, right? And then we see it. Like, it's nothing worse than just being in the city where it feels stagnant. And you forced to go outside of the city to make something happen, right? When I go to cities like Atlanta, I'm in LA, and you see like the traffic, you see the activity taking place, right? You see the building, right? You see young boys having things, right? That inspired me. And we can have that here when you go to Detroit. You see the same thing. Right? They bounce back. They went through the same situations that we did. Now that you see them in a space where now they feel like, all right, well, you know what? They doing much better. They done turned that corner. Everybody can go ahead and make something of themselves. That's the same thing I see for Flint.
248 820-5053. Call in if you have questions for Mr. Robinson here, or if you want to comment on something that he said. 248-820-5053. Out of the Mud Incorporated. Find us on Facebook. You can comment there. We are a media company. All right. There are people that postulate about or speculate about the future of Flint.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that and this sounds crazy, Olympics 2036. The Olympics are supposed to help out not only big cities like New York or international cities, but they're also supposed to be helping struggling places.
That's right.
And struggling cities.
Mm-hmm.
There are places in the Soviet Union where they've gone and built stadiums, places in Brazil where they've gone and built different facilities that help out the local community.
Mm-hmm.
I think Flint will be primed if we start making certain changes right now. We have the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
We have the stadiums. We have the hospitals. We have the libraries. We have the museums. We have a lot of logistics here. We have at least 3 universities here
For sure.
that are holding down place.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is a plan for how do we lure the Olympics here. And I could see us doing auto racing. I could see us doing Winter Olympics with snow and taking advantage of some of the resources, not just in Flint Center, but metropolitan Flint area. Take advantage of the whole county or whatever resources are here nearby in Michigan. And I could see this actually happening with the right cooperation. It might sound like a pipe dream, but this could become an international city if we can get people together. What do you think about that thought?
Well, just think of back when the Olympics came to Atlanta. Before Atlanta was a country town. You know, it wasn't too much happening over there, but they was on the brink of changing that over. Once they got the Olympics, then they became a powerhouse. It did bring a lot of economics to the city. You know, it did create a lot of, you know, avenues for revenue for the common folks, right? It did help that struggling area that once was, a hick town or, dirt roads, changed with paved with gold, right? So that we could definitely, if we can be able to put, ourselves in a position of seeing a future and bringing the Olympics here to the city, that benefits not only just, downtown, but it benefits the neighborhood, then everybody buy in. I think that'd be dope. Because, think about Flint, man. Flint is, at one point in time, was the 3rd richest city per capita, right? So we got a lot of history here, man. We are the home of fair housing, right? It all started here, right? We was the mecca in the automobile industry, right? So I think that'd be befitting for Flint to be able to get an opportunity to be hosting the Olympics, and even beyond that, right? Even if we started doing something locally, on a theme of Olympics, like creating some type of Olympics here, based on what we have going on right now, I think that'll catapult us to a new level.
The Black Olympics.
The Black Olympics, right?
We have all the most talented black. No, because then the White Olympics get mad because then they won't have anybody.
No, forget that. Right, I like that. Black Olympics. You got the chess team, right, going crazy. You got the athletics. We breed a lot of sports figures.
Right.
So we had
you got Cleese here, Shields, and you got a number of people that come up.
Man, we were turning our stars on a regular. It's just unfortunate that a lot of young people are going to these out of county schools now. So, it's not being looked at here in the city of Flint, but they from Flint.
It's changing the game a little bit, this open school policy. We're going to talk about education in a second.
For sure.
I wanted to ask you about what you felt about gentrification and changes the city might go through. You mentioned Detroit, and Detroit is having a mixed measure with gentrification. Some people like the tax base coming in.
Yeah.
Some people feel like the old people are getting displaced. In the city of Flint, you're on the housing board or housing commission. What is the general thought or feel about gentrification?
It's happening right before your eyes. You don't necessarily see it, right?
Like watching water boil.
Yeah, it just slowly creep up on you before you know it. Then the whole community that you once knew is gone.
All of a sudden, there's a Starbucks there.
That's the start of it, right? And you see people walking their dog down, and crime-riddled neighborhoods. And, than just you pushed out on the outskirts when you were in the mix. And to be honest with you, that's been a thing for urban communities, right? This is prime real estate. This is the area, right? People want to be a part of this. Why you think
Well,
a
the
water
infrastructure
crisis?
is here.
Why you think a water crisis would take place and nothing has been done about it? But they benefited and capitalized so much, right? But the people haven't got to die. You got to think about that. So, but you see the roads getting fixed. You see apartments being, built every other day. You just understand that stuff is happening around you because it's built not for you, but around you, right? And people, for us, we went to sleep too. I gotta be honest. Like our granddaddies and people like that, man, they used to sit down in basements and they used to have visionary conversations and they used to buy and own things. Like we had more stuff back in the day than we do now. Like a lot of the black people don't even think about buying these abandoned buildings and repurposing it. They don't think about buying the houses in a neighborhood and try to help out other families reach generational wealth. They let other people do it. It's outsiders coming in buying blocks and blocks in neighborhoods, and we sitting up there getting in apartments.
I need to stress to people out there because I see this happening, and it's part of the gentrification. It's part of the problem with the land bank. You have people that wind up inheriting grandmother's or granddad's house, and then don't pay the taxes or don't pay the bills on it. They let it go back to the white people that originally owned it.
That's just like, you're right. That's just like a business. You probably seen your people struggle so hard to push a business here in the city. And then you got the young ones, you got the children that come up, right? They don't necessarily share the same dream. They don't share the same vision. They want to do something
I don't think
else.
it's being instilled the same way.
Nah, you probably worked in the store as a child. My grandfather had one of the first A-track repair shops, right? He worked at GM, right? He built houses on the side, right? He was an electrician. He did all type of things, and he had 9 children. And so the thing was, one of them was supposed to step up, or all of them supposed to step up, man, and fill those roles. But they had other things on their mind. They wanted to, hang out, do their thing, right? And that wasn't a constructive generational wealth build and move, right? And that's not just like families like mine, but that happens all around the board.
I think it's something that black folks go through. We're a stigmatized minority. That means we stand out at a distance and people know who we are from a block away.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why they brought us here in the first place. Indentured servants, you can't tell, he's just another white man, so they make bad slaves. But I think that we are behind the 8 ball also, not just because we're stigmatized, but because we're not bringing that energy that comes with an immigrant population. Immigration is a hot issue right now. We're going to deal with the new aspects of it. But as a personality, immigrants come with that desire for the American dream, whether it's real or not real. They have that first generation that say, we did our part.
That's
Next generation, you have to get educated, run these businesses, do X, Y, and Z. Third generation, you're free to become doctors, do whatever you want because first generation did their part.
That's right.
Second generation born here, ran the stores, made the money, did X, Y, and Z. And then that third generation is free to live the quote-unquote American dream. Doctor, lawyer, college, whatever. And they're supposed to keep it going.
That's right.
There's a name for it in Japan that each generation is called. Papa San, some kind of sign behind each one of them. But you see this characteristic, not just in Japanese, but in Africans and Latinos, Latinx, and in other people that come to this country seeking a future.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong? We had these businesses.
We had them
sure. Before Brown versus Education. Somewhere along the line, we moved on up to the east side and sold those businesses and got rid of them. Or freeways came through and got rid of them. I think it was a combination of the two different things happening.
I would say it's a combination of different things. It wasn't even just truly all.
I think we got bamboozled, and some of us don't want to admit it.
We did get bamboozled, right? And we went to sleep, and we still are asleep, right? That's what happened. So while we arguing about mediocre stuff, things are being happening and built, and deals are being made, and we have no idea. We're not even at the table to even have those conversations. But furthermore, we're not even organized enough, right? Listen, man, in this country, man, this is a capitalist country, right? You got to fight power with power. If you ain't got no economic, power, no structure, Yeah, you don't have a voice. So when
But
we
per
out here
capita,
running
Flint
around,
has the most
but
churches
when
per
we running
capita.
around, man, ain't nobody at them churches, man. You got 10 people in the congregation, and you just wasting space. I'm just saying like this, man. Look, we got to be more organized in our efforts. We got to be dedicated to following through. When you talk about the Montgomery bus boycott, them people stayed online for 385 days. So they was committed, right? And that means a sacrifice. They boycotted the transportation system in the South. So that means they ain't riding no buses, right? They ain't utilizing no taxis, none of that stuff, right? They walking. That was a sacrifice.
They walking.
We ain't willing to sacrifice like that right now. Everybody's so comfortable working a minimum wage job, right? You know what I'm saying? Eating noodles and thinking that stuff is cool, right? But when we could be so much more. And that's the thing that, when we talk about what happened, what are we doing about it? We know this is happening to us. But it's like, man, who willing to step up? Who willing to go ahead and put all that stuff to the side, man, and be like, man, you know what, man, we're gonna be the difference. This generation gonna make it happen. Until we get on that type of energy, or until we possess that type of spirit like our ancestors did, then we're gonna continue to keep watching all this stuff go by, and we ain't got no parts of it. You know what? I get sick. You know what, bro? I get sick of that, man. I get sick of just watching, all our talents go to waste. It's like watching a historical figure, right? Doing some great work, and you don't get involved and get engaged to help, and roll your sleeves up and be involved. Right, you just waiting on somebody else to get it done. Right, waiting on the next person to go ahead and open up the door. Instead, we all should be kicking in the door.
I think part of the problem is leadership. We used to have national leadership at one point in time. Whether you go back to the days of Frederick Douglass, follow it with the days of Booker T and W.E.B.,
right.
throw in Marcus Garvey.
For sure.
You keep going to the days of
Malcolm X
and Martin,
about Huey P. Newton,
Fred Hampton.
Right? We can take even further than that. We can talk about Mansa Musa, right? Back in the ancient times.
Right? But contemporarily, who do we have as a leader? A lot of people are having mixed emotions about Obama. He wanted to be everybody's president and never addressed issues that were directly black issues because he didn't want to be seen as the president for black people.
Why not?
That was a choice that he made.
Why not?
That was a choice.
When you get in position, right? Just like any other ethics group, right? If they get in position, what they do? They open the door for the people that look like them.
I would hope our first woman president would address some gender. I would hope she would address gender issues. I would not hold it against her if she addressed gender issues.
No, I'm just saying. What type of mandates are you requiring, though? What type? Just like with Obama. Obama did more for the LGBT community than he did for black people. They held him accountable. Y'all sit up here. We vote in November, and then we go back to basics, right? You don't say, hey, okay, listen, we want to have a black enterprise here, right? We want to have thriving public schools, right? We want to have healthcare for all of us, right? We want to have these things, right? And if you don't say, like, you got a plan of action to say, this is what we need you to do, right? Then they ain't gonna look at you to be like, all right, well, you ain't gave nothing. You ain't provided nothing. So yeah, you can be mad at Obama because he didn't do necessarily, what you wanted him to do for black people. But at the same time, we wasn't even organized enough to say, like, hey, listen, this is what we need you to do, right? This ain't no if and buts about it. And here come the same time around, right? We got Kamala. I'm back with the sister, right? For sure. I want to see, a woman, a black woman in office, right? You know what I'm saying? Because black women been holding it down for a long time. But the thing is, the reason why a lot of the black men ain't stepping up and on the front line forward is because you ain't said nothing that what you gonna do for folks, right? And I'm not saying, listen, I want this to be clear. Now I don't support that Trump stuff. I don't, it ain't nothing like that, right? I don't even look. Yeah, Project 25 is one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why we'll never support no mess like that. Let alone we just always look at ourselves in this Democrat Republican type of situation, right? Well, what about the independent folks that's like, listen, man, I agree with these things over here. I agree with these things over here, right? I need somebody who understand that, right, and go do the work on that level. Like when is that? Like instead of just getting behind something blindly, and I'm not saying like vote for Trump, none of that stuff. What I'm saying is, what do you want? right? When you go to the table and you're trying to advocate on behalf of something that you need for a group of people, you have to have something that you want. What is the end goal? It ain't just to be saying like, oh, we got somebody in, right? Or, oh, well, you know what? Okay, now we got opportunity. No, it's like at the end of the day, we got to be dedicated to putting strategies together that's going to benefit us. And then whoever pushing that program, that's who we supporting. And it's all of us. We ain't divided. You want to know why they come in the black community? Want to get people, black people, the deciding factors. You'll never see them going to the Asian community or Latino community and saying, oh, well, we need y'all to go. Nah, it's the black people. Black people got to understand your power. You got to understand how much power we possess in this country that we built, right? That we a lot of us is originally from. But we so twisted and brought up into the system that we don't even realize who we are. When you talk about the 1787 treaty, the first treaty between the Moors and those folks who came over here, right, who was not originally from here, that never intended to come here, but found this place.
1787, we got the constitutional conventions going on.
Listen,
it's before we have our first official president.
All that. We talk about Obama like he was the first president. Like we just black people just been over here since the slave trade. That's how lost we are. Black people is the original people of this world. You don't even have to call yourself black.
We have 500
as
years.
As melanated people, right? Whether you feel you are more, right? Ancient Kush, however you look at it, right? We are the original. So we was all over the place. We was all over here, right? We've been so bamboozled to think that we all came on the slave trade and now we just the first to do this and that. And we so lost because that's so untrue.
What I like to stress, for 500 years, we were held here in bondage, or some of us were held here in bondage. But our history goes back 1,000 years ago. We were holding down Spain. We held down Spain until 1492. Spain did not go through the Black Plague and all the suffering that the rest of Europe did because Black Moors were holding it down.
Black Moors was holding it down.
We also go back
to ancient 30 because we on 5, bro.
We can also go back to ancient Egypt and talk about the successes of Mansa Musa, talk about the first universities and all this. Our history does not begin in 1619. Some people came,
listen, they studied us in the ancient times where we worked, man. They studied Egyptology, right? They studied all our ways of life. Listen, we are the original contributors to civilization. When you talk about mathematics, astrology, right? We talk about building the pyramids, right? When you talk about the richest man on earth, right? You know, we got gold in our spirit. Have you heard
the story of Mansa Musa's brother?
Tell me.
Mansa Musa's brother was the original ruler, was the original king.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to take at least 20 ships and go sailing.
He did.
One ship came back, resupplied, and left.
Mm-hmm.
Mansa Musa's brother is theorized to have gone to the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some genetic issues and some plant issues and other things, OOTMINC heads and other artifacts that they found in America.
You're right.
The story that Columbus found America does not jive well with all these other cultures that drifted to America from Asia or that sailed from Africa. Other people had experiences. It was only the Europeans who felt that the earth was flat and that you'd go off the edges. There'll be dragons there. That's what they literally wrote on the map. There'll be dragons there. Don't go that way.
And y'all folks, y'all ate it up, right? You know what I mean? Y'all. How long, and I put something out there the other day, man. As a child, we've been institutionalized, to think.
Brainwashed.
Right? Brainwashed, AKA. Right?
That's what TV programming is programmed to think a certain way.
Until we break those mental shackles that we under, we're going to keep getting the same old stuff. We are engaged in this rat race. We are just buying into it, right? We hooping and hollering, running around, thinking that we are in the mix, or like now we belong, or even like we matter. You know what? Sometimes you got to rethink about this. They're like, hold on. First and foremost, man, you know what I'm saying? When you get back to your original natural self, right? When you talk about nature, right? We understand, you know what I'm saying, the blood that run through your DNA. When you talk about epigenetics, when you talking about what you stand for, when people who have paved the way, I'm talking about legendary folks, right? That have made a way. It's all written in history. Most of our information right now is in the Vatican, right? When we sit up here, we so deprived right now
Mormon Church,
because we've been so stripped. It's like we done forgot, right? And that's the way of the game. That's the system was built on, right? And we bought into it. Like
you know about the Mormon Church collecting data on us.
Yeah, they're doing it right now
on our genealogy.
Yeah, everybody studied us, right?
They're studying us right now.
If you wanna mimic greatness, what would you do? Is you gonna go somewhere where ain't nothing taking place, or you gonna go back to the start and beginning of it all, right? The historical space, right? You gonna go there. You gonna go ahead and deprive these folks, right? You gotta understand the reason why we are being treated the way we treated all around the world, right? When you talk about the glory of even Africa, right? All the natural resources in Africa, the mineral that you use the mineral you use in your cell phone that everybody got in their pocket right now. It is only found in the Congo Republic. So when you understand the richness, right? When you talk about the Aboriginal people of Australia, when you talk about Germany was a black country at one point in time, right? These things is so fascinating, but we don't even take the time out to read or learn, research our history. Not that stuff that them folks taught you in high school that Christopher Columbus discovered America. The reason why they don't even sit up there and say that no more, because they know folks is woke. Now they say indigenous people.
They finally given up on what the Germans did to the Jews being the worst genocide. Now they're starting to acknowledge that 20 million Africans killed by King Leopold.
That's right.
And down in South Africa and in that parts of the world might be a worse tragedy.
And by far is the worst. It's by far the worst. But then
the whole slave trade.
Folks want to castrate you when you talk about that. When you talk about Jewish people, when you talk about Israel, when you talk about that stuff and make you want to apologize and all this old weak stuff, man, you tripping.
We're running low on time. There's two issues I wanted to address real quick. Money, practical plan in Flint. We know electric cars are coming. We have all this empty property in Flint.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we put together a black company to create some type of solar-powered recharging stations
all right.
on all these empty blocks? Because this is coming. We know in the next 10 years, there are not enough charging stations for people to charge their cars. Number two, there's a $10 million housing grant coming to Flint.
Okay.
Why can't we put together a black company and describe the housing we want to live in? Instead of them creating a project for us, we can get in on this tiny housing boom like they have in Detroit, or the storage container housing boom where they're making offices and apartments, or come up with our own ingenious idea here in Flint in order to get some of the money that normally goes to white contractors.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to do this in the near future. What are your thoughts on trying to create or take advantage of some of these grants and things coming in the near future? And we have to hurry up and we got a caller calling in. All right, let me take this call from the caller. Let you marinate on that. Caller, you there? Waiting on the caller. Mic check 1. What's your response to that, Mr. Robinson, while we're waiting for this caller to get?
I feel that's something that, we can definitely collectively come together and do. I like the idea of having, moving towards the future, right? One thing about it is understanding the projection of where we're going. Automobiles, gasoline cars, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on right now. But you always want to look at what's next, and right? EV is what's next. If Flint was, futuristic about their thinking, they would have already had those, chip centers and, and battery plants, to be able to go ahead and get on top, right? They wouldn't even fail because GM left out, right? So I think that's something that we can definitely do, right? And I feel like we should get these young people more engaged because they so tech savvy. They understand this, man. They know exactly how to go ahead and put a motherboard together. That's what we should be educating them on. And we should be opening up centers to be able to do that. Like take some of these schools, right? These abandoned buildings right now, right? And we can go ahead and teach technology. We can build chips, right? Get them engaged in those type of, next level opportunities.
Mr. Robinson, I want to thank you for being here. We were scheduled to do this last week. We'd probably had more time. It's my fault because I was ill. I definitely want to have you back on our show again in the future. Can we stress to the people out there? I don't care who you vote for.
Yeah.
I want you to think about your vote,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to go out and vote. Whether you vote for who you know you should be voting for, or whether you vote the other way,
right?
It is appreciated that you take part in this democracy and not be a passive piece of property in this nation. Be active, have your own voice. Right. You got any advice to the people out there before I read the last poem?
Listen, man, since we in this game, let's play to win. Now, sometimes you have to do what you got to do till you do what you want to do. It's a critical point in time in life right now. You guys, special interest trying to bring it back to the slavery days, which I know folks ain't looking to go back to. So what we have to do is get off our behind, get activated, and do something for ourselves. What we need to do is put plans in motion that's going to benefit us. Right?
Quit dreaming and start acting, huh?
Yeah, quit dreaming, stop acting, start acting. It's all about action, right? Always remember, man, our ancestors are here with us, and no matter what we talking about, right? Everybody that we named on this broadcast, the spirit is among us, right? So the time is now. We got to be about making the next kingdom, right? Which we want to do, and I'll leave with this. When I was in Egypt, right? You go to these temples and these tombs, right? And the king is in power, right? Who benefits everybody around. They build on the temple for as long as that person is alive, right? And when he died, that temple that was built is left for everybody else to continue to keep building on. So it's just like you just keep building on these legacies. We entering into the 34th dynasty. So it's becoming on what we going to develop, what we going to build, right? How we going to look, what we leaving for our children behind. And we better go ahead and make it make sense.
Mr. Robinson, I want to thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to leave with these inspiring words from the man himself, George Clinton. Maggot brain. Mother Earth is pregnant for the third time, for we have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe, and I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all or drown in my own ish. Maggot brain is a state of mind and then the condition and position of your arse. Free your mind and your arse will follow. We are just a biological speculation sitting here vibrating, and we don't know what we're vibrating about. And the animal instinct in me makes me want to defend me, makes me want to live when it's time to stop. Do y'all see my point? I don't mean to come on strong, but I am concerned. I believe in God, and I know that law and order must prevail. But if and when the laws of man are not just, equal, and fair, then the laws of nature will come and do her thing. She does not think. She works by instinct. Survival is her thing. Do y'all see my point? Think. It ain't illegal yet. Think. It ain't illegal yet. Think. It ain't illegal yet. A luscious bitch she is true, but it's not nice to fool Mother Nature. The proud mother of God, like all hoes, is jealous of her own shadow. So who is this young Vic Tanny bitch who wishes to be queen for a day? Who could sacrifice the great-grandsons and daughters of her jealous mother by sucking their brains until their ability to think was amputated, by pimping their souls until their instincts, until they were fat, horny, and strung out? Who is this bitch? In her neurotic attempt to be queen of the universe, who is this bitch? America eats its young, and we are all part of America. This world is a hell of a heaven we live in, but it's all we've got. We might as well party, y'all. If you will suck my soul, I will lick your funky emotions. All that is good is nasty. Ain't nothing good unless you play with it. Play with the maggot.
I know that's right.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks again, Out of the Mud Productions. Thank you again, Mr. Robinson. We're going to have you back. We're going to talk about Egypt and going to Africa and black